Mr. Paredes, you were charged with tampering with a government record with intent to make it genuine.
Wait, tampering with a government record? That's not just a parking ticket, folks. This case is about to get wild. Buckle up. This isn't your average courtroom day.
Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, will be appointed to you, sir.
On January 16th, 2025, the officer observed the defendant's vehicle with a paper license plate on North Freeway, East Service Road. The officer ran the license plate, and the license plate came back with no record. The officer observed the license plate was a copy and did not have required security features. A traffic stop was initiated, and the officer made contact with the defendant, the driver of the vehicle. The defendant stated he received the license plate from the person who sold him the truck, that he receives a new license plate whenever he makes payments, and that he thought that was legal. The defendant stated he did not have insurance on the vehicle, and the officer ran the VIN and discovered the motor vehicle to be salvaged. The officer also found the vehicle had never been registered and had never had a state inspection. The defendant provided a dealer tag receipt for the license plate, listing him as a purchaser.
So he tried to purchase in good faith, Judge. I don't see how there's any criminal intent.
But he's going payments, and he gets a new license plate every time he gets a payment.
That's what the officer says he was saying.
Well, right. But I mean, Marcos?
Okay, pause. No insurance, no registration, and a salvaged vehicle? That's the courtroom hat trick of red flags. But is it ignorance or intent?
You're reckless.
An alteration, so to speak, you know? Let's see.
Knowingly makes a false entry in the false alteration of a government record.
A person commits, if he knowingly makes a false entry in or false alteration of a government record, makes, presents, or uses any record, document, or thing with knowledge of its falsity with intent that it be taken as a genuine government record.
Your Honor,
I think that is what they're probably relying on in this case.
if I may, as the information alleges, it's subsection 6 where it possesses a governmental record with knowledge that it was obtained unlawfully. So,
Well, he doesn't know it was obtained unlawfully, even from...
Well, hold on. That's your burden, right?
yes, Judge, and in this case, we would show that.
Hot take. That statement from the prosecutor? It's the foundation of their case, saying the defendant should have known it wasn't legit. But is that fair to someone just trying to drive to work?
So at some point, yes, you're supposed to get something like a plate from a state, from the state authority, right? They give you the license plate, but here...
They give you the paper plate, and you assume that they're going to do all the paperwork behind the scenes. They send it to the government, to the state agency. Then the state agency sends you the metal plates.
If this had been like maybe a month or two that he'd purchased it, perhaps. But if we're talking that he's had this car for like a year, then I think that's reasonable. I don't think that's a reasonable argument to make. So,
And I don't know how long
this car purchase.
Let me see, Your Honor. So the only thing in regard to the status of the vehicle is the officer only found that it was a salvaged vehicle, and he lists a date of loss as May 29th, 2020. So I don't know if that's when the defendant obtained it, or that's just...
No, that was salvaged at that
Yeah, so
time.
that's
So at
only-
that point, you can't even drive the car because it's salvaged, right?
Right, and
It's
that's
salvaged title.
the
But
date that the officer provides. So, so information we
you have a
have...
copy of the tag?
Let me see. So the buyer's tag lists an expiration date of February 5th, 2025, and lists the vehicle as a 2007 Chevrolet, and it doesn't list...
It should say like a date of purchase, right? Why don't we do this? Look,
So it says it expired February 5th, and this happened on January 16th, and I just asked him when he bought it. He said it was about a month and a half ago, and I said, how many...
let's do this. Let me give you more time. Just do a little bit more diligence, all right? We'll come back, but let me burn through all this. I didn't think it was going to take this much time, but we'll revisit.
We approach. So apparently I spoke with William about this case, and he, on the...
Time jump. 2 hours later, and this case is still cooking. But new evidence is about to drop, and it involves a QR code. Yep, the drama's gone digital.
Registration to know what this QR code means, but I do know that when I did the QR code, it did pull up something.
And it did say the created timestamp was December 7th, 2024.
We can show you both. You like this one?
So wait. The paper plate has a QR code?
The QR code apparently on the corner, and when scanned, it gave the date of December 7th, 2024 as the creation.
This is end February
5th, which is the expiration.
So the
on-
issue is, because
of knowledge.
did he have knowledge of its falsity?
Right.
Did he, or, did he, because it's a specific intent crime, right?
And after Googling what paper plate does,
And there it is. The judge rules no probable cause. That means this whole courtroom clash just fizzled out. But was justice served? Let us know in the comments.